Hey, what's up, you guys? It is Emoeshawty, and I'm here with my friend. Introduce yourself.
Elvis Thao with the one and
Hey,
only Emoeshawty.
aren't you like how do y'all say it? Among
Mong.
legend?
The H is
Among
silent.
among legend.
H Mong.
H among legend.
The
Okay.
the
No,
H
that's
is
what I've heard. That's what I've heard on these streets. You're this legend. So I'm like, okay.
oh my god.
Um, no, I'm serious. I'm so serious. Anyway. Okay, so today we're talking about dating and the whole AMBW stuff. We're going to talk about just regular dating too in general. So, first question, before we get started on the topic, I mean it's still on the topic. How do you feel about women right now going through the decentering men, grieving men phase? While this dating situation is going down. So if you're not familiar with grieving men, basically women are completely shunning the idea of the kind of love men have given us for centuries. And the manufactured love we've seen on TV, music videos, all that, and how is that affecting the dating game? And it's not the same as a radical feminist. Like a radical feminist is someone that doesn't believe in love, doesn't care for guys. They're using the same psychological and manipulative tactics men have used on women, on men. But women that are grieving men, decentering men, they were the women that still believed in love, but now are like, yeah, no, this ain't for me.
Explain decentering, like being the center of the world or something?
Yeah. So like the center of the world, their center of affections, they're it's like if they don't have a man, they don't feel validated. They make their man their aesthetic, their personality, all that. So how do you feel like that affects the dating game now that you kind of know what it means?
But you're saying it's kind of cliched by like what we see fabricated on television as well, right? So
Yeah.
so when you say that, you're saying like um that kind of brands what a man should be, and what you're getting compared to what you're seeing on the television are two different things, right? Um,
Not just that, but like in real life, because women have tried to fit the patriarchal standard of what a woman should be, and then they still get spat in their face. So then they're just like, what's the point of even doing this anymore?
yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I think it's accountability on all ends, like, I mean, with me, I always tell women like, I'm the same I'm the same thing with weddings, right? Like to me, love is fabricated. I look at women like, I'm a believer that love is never enough, right? Love is always the ultimate goal. It's always the ultimate ultimatum. It's what we strive for. It's goals, but I mean, just like goals, takes discipline, responsibility, integrity, dignity, and so love is not enough. Love without finances, love without, having your shit together. Like you can have wedding bills all like all day and like, oh yeah, we did the wedding thing and that's cool, but it's like, dude, I can give a shit less about a wedding. You know what I mean? It's like I can show more love and affection just as a human being, and to me, build a foundation and let all that speak for itself. I think women want wedding bells, and because that's what gets them all jittery inside and stuff, and that's cool. And then men kind of just service and cater to that, but I don't think we really, what I mean, we don't really care for that. We just want to build a foundation, move forward, and have a long, sustainable life. And it's the same thing, and it actually gives men a reason to be lazy too. Like they got a trophy wife, and like I mean, once you put the ring on it, you're good. And so, I mean, I think all of that is the fabrication of like, ooh, this big, like romantic setting where which is very important. But I'm saying like all of that could be, you know,
It could
uh,
just be smoke and mirrors, basically.
yeah, I never buy into
It's
it.
like it's all the fluff, but it's not the actual crux of like what a relationship is, which is 100% true. Now,
But people also hear what they want to hear and see what they want to see. So they get this
right.
fabricated sense of love. And it's like, dude, love is hard work. Like, relationships are hard work. Just do the work.
So do you think that because of that, dating, at least for people that are on dating apps,
Mhm.
they are pretty much like kind of asked out. They are in there wasting their time, especially for like our community, like the Black woman, the Afro Latin woman, the Asian, the East Asian, South Asian. What's that looking like for them?
Girl, I don't online date much, which I should, but I actually think that's a better route. There's it's less gimmicky, there's less run around.
What?
You like you're not wasting each other's time. What I'm saying is when you build a profile, you know what you're getting. You know what I mean? But
Uh You tripping? Because on dating apps, it is so much
I mean, I know
easier
people
to.
lie.
It's so much easier to put the blindfolds on somebody. You can literally add, subtract, uh, put a fake photo
That part
on
I get,
there.
but what I'm saying is that like when you're giving something attention, at least it's all laid down for you. Like I said, people lie and they do fabricate it, and so that's on the human being, and that's the error part. But to me, I'd rather look at a profile and be like, okay, what's this girl about? What she's done, blah blah, and then make my decision on it. The only thing is people just ain't honest. That's really what ain't happening. But what I'm saying is it helps me to differentiate, right? Like when I'm choosing what music I listen to or what movies I watch, I want the package this so that I know that this is, I'm gonna spend my 2 hours watching this or, my 5 minutes listening to this, like so I know what I'm getting. And that's a very honest approach because when I do that, I actually, I go through some really good stuff. So with women, I mean, if they come correct, I almost feel like I'm wasting a lot more time doing the in-person stuff. But again, I haven't online dated too much, so I'm very sociable. So it is what it is. But I'm also picky, so I do select what I feel is normally the right woman. I don't women don't really waste my time as much. So
You told me that you recently went to a mixer of some sorts. Was it like a, what was it? Like those fast dating things where people,
yeah,
and you just
speed
went there to
dating.
hang out. You just
Yeah,
went there to hang out.
yeah, it's stuff it's stuff that I went to, once in a while, a long time ago. I did it for fun. It was a good time. Just cool to see my community do it. Like we talk about, we're so behind sometimes, and like among dating, Asian dating, sometimes it's still so traditional. So it's kind of like, hey, this is cool. Break you guys out of the norm a little bit because I feel like I don't know. They need more action. Again, I just went to check out the scene because I want to see how
Are
my
you
day
saying are you saying they need more action because they're just so traditional and they don't really know how to like go about,
explore,
yeah.
adventure, and it's like to me, I still get like speed dating is still like a sense of like, you know, going outside of the box. But to me, I was like, that's kind of like really typical. You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
like, how do we get past this point? How do we evolve even further? I'm not encouraging other types of relationships like what we're going to talk about later. But at the same time, I do wish we explored a little more. Number one, number two, I feel like the young ones are, dating has become more sociable. It's a more lifestyle thing now, and and the young ones are probably delving more into that. But because the like our generation, we don't speak up about it, or we haven't gone through it, so it's kind of like who do the teens, the youth really speak up to, or or look forward to give them some advice and things like that. So I feel like I should probably talk more so that, like so that, my tribe can find me, I guess.
There's a lot of people out there that are talking. It's just that there isn't enough representation of Asians.
Yeah, in your own
Yeah,
community.
right.
They
Because
want
like
to speak to someone that looks like them.
for like Afro Latinas and Black women, we have a lot of women that are coming up
Yeah,
and giving great advice.
yeah, y'all got plenty.
But and some Afro Latinas, because they pass for just African American, you wouldn't know that they're Afro Latinas. So they speak to, all the women of color. They speak to all those women and they're giving good advice. But what I'm noticing is though, there is this advice kind of floating around in the internet that is very much centered on humbling men. And the thing is, I'm not saying men can't be humbled, but they're using a lot of the same tactics, like I said earlier, of what men used to do to women or what men do to women. And they're using it against guys, but they're not realizing that they're turning into the same dudes that they hate. Right. And that's actually ruining the dating situation for themselves, not because they can't get action, but because then they're going to create this huge disconnect between themselves and what they actually want, which is to date
Putting
other
on
men.
putting on that armor.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to
I would
put it.
say instead, like, it's okay to have boundaries and protect yourself, but if you're
Sure.
going to be this psychologically, um, I don't know, manipulative and also kind of angry and bitter, it's better that you just don't date, and don't date when you're bitter. Don't date when you're trying to go out there and humble dudes. Just stay away from dudes. Stay away from them for a while.
Like
It's okay.
sometimes, like the woman play the masculine role, you know. But sometimes that has a lot to do with men, because let's be honest, they be soft as hell too, right? So that's like, it's kind of like one woman feel, you know, well, they feel obligated to play that role, or it's their way to, kind of shoot a man down. And yeah, it's weird, to be honest. But at the same time, it's like, I get why they do it, but it's
Yeah,
just
I get it 100%.
men need to step
But
up too on that end, to be honest.
right.
A
But I
lot of
just
that.
don't think it's safe for women to put themselves in those situations because some men, even though they may look, like the quiet, chill guy, might be the guy that might punch you in the face
Yeah.
because he feels like you totally disrespected him, though it's wrong that he did what he did. If you know that men are natural born predators, you do not put yourself in a situation where a man can prey on you,
Oh, definitely.
regardless of how much psychological game you have,
Hmm.
because your strength isn't equal to his.
I do want to know, like, so what other dating lifestyles have you, like, do you practice, right? Because you're dating right now, or you're single? Like, what do you
So,
identify as far as where you're at right now?
well, I'm polyamorous.
Mm-hmm.
I've been with my primary partner for 7 years, and
Primary,
the
okay.
so my secondary partner, we broke up in June of last year. No, was it June? Yes, it was June or a little bit before that. Anyways, and I haven't dated anyone else since that, just because I'm still kind of like healing from that breakup. Like, even though I'm happy in my primary relationship, that's all good and dandy. I still, when I step into, when I step into thinking about what I had with that person, I sometimes ponder it and go, man, what a doozy, and I'm still kind of processing it, because breaking up with him was something I just had to do. I just had to do it. And but it still kind of makes me a little sad that I had to do it, because we had really good chemistry connection, and we could communicate very well, and there was a lot of attraction, and I was very supportive towards him. He was very supportive towards me. We had a lot of great qualities together. Unfortunately, though, having these great qualities, I mean, it doesn't change that foundationally we don't understand our well, I understand his attachment style, but my attachment style is a little more secure than his. And so to try and help an avoidant person become a secure attachment is just not my job. They have to realize that that's something they have to work on, or they're going to lose relationships with either romantic or friendship. And that's just like, it's not for me to fix. That's a personal thing that they have to deal with. And it has to do a lot with like trusting other people and feeling safe. And what am I going to do? Beat you? Like, what am I going to do? Like, I've already done everything to show you that you can trust me. And if that's not enough, then I'd rather go.
So let me, first of all, see, I come from a community that really doesn't understand these different types of lifestyles, right? Um,
Mhm.
can you explain even what a polyamorous is? Because if I tell my people that, they're like, "Oh, what's that? I don't even know what that is." So, sadly, like it's a pretty, I think, typical term. But I think if you go to a lot of monks and say poly, they won't even know the hell that is. So explain it.
Well, at least what it is to me, polyamory is you have the emotional, mental, financial, intellectual bandwidth to love another person without that interfering with your other romantic relationships. You could love plural people, multiple people, and
Multiple.
commit to those people. And it's not a hookup thing. It's not swingers. It's not casual sex. It's not that. It's you can be in love and in committed for
Equally.
yeah.
Okay.
You can do it. You have the capacity for it. You don't feel like you're being split in half when you do it,
Right.
or split in three or four. You feel like I just can't. That's it.
So the last guy you were talking about, the secondary guy. So at this point, it was just two guys, or was it
Yeah,
more at that point?
just two.
And now you're back to one,
Yeah,
momentarily exclusive.
yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah. And like, have I considered dating a second person? No, not because I don't
With
want to, but because, like I said, I'm still kind of,
at this point, right?
yeah, like I don't know if 2 years from now I'll feel differently, but like I'm still sort of healing through that. So I'm just like,
Let me ask you this briefly. How long you been poly?
my whole life.
Oh, life. Okay. When's the last time you actually been single? I mean, like exclusive to one person. So, when's the last time you can think of it?
So I've been exclusive with a guy I dated like back in 2013.
So it's been 10 years. Okay.
So I was exclusive with him, and we were together 2 years, and then the guy no, and then like a guy that I dated after that, I was with him for a year. I was exclusive with him, and then my current partner, we were exclusive. Even though I'm poly, we were exclusive the first 4 years. Like I did not even consider practicing polyamory until we had a strong baseline of trust. Like I couldn't just go ahead and like especially when the people if you date people that are monogamous and they know you're poly, you can't just like throw yourself into a poly relationship. You have to
Right.
respect and build a trust with them
Right.
that when you do have a secondary partner or whatever partners you want, it does not affect your primary relationship at all. Not to say that there's nothing that affects the primary relationship. I'm just saying that they're just like, oh no, I trust my partner completely. Everything's good. Like my partner is always on point no matter what. Doesn't matter if there's someone in the picture.
Is that the longest? 4 years being exclusive?
With my
With anyone.
primary partner,
With anyone.
yeah, 4 years exclusive.
Sometimes
Well,
I don't know if Crystal can take that ride for that long. So, that's cool.
like I know how to be realistic though. Like I've had boyfriends where I'm just like, hey, like I can be exclusive for you with you for 10 years and that's it.
I've had a hard time with it too. So I get it.
Like I've been able to say, no, with you I could only be exclusive 4 years. With you I could only be exclusive five. Like I know who I could be exclusive with for how long.
Now, if you're willing to reveal it, how many guys at one time? Like, what was the most? What was your cap? Like,
Oh,
or
I only
you
two.
do,
Like that's it.
oh, you don't do more than two guys?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
I thought
Because
maybe you-
I don't have the bandwidth for it. Like I just
okay,
don't.
okay.
Like some people can have three, four, five. I can't do it.
So it's just a
I
plus one. Okay, cool.
just a plus one.
Okay.
Hmm.
I mean, that ain't too bad. That's the main
But
thing.
yeah, like some people think polyamory is about hookups. It's about this or that.
Yeah.
Like
What do you
for
say
me,
to them?
I tell them, listen.
Give people a different perspective. Yeah, go ahead.
For some people, sure, it's about hookups because they're not getting their needs met in their
Yeah.
relationship. For me, it's just I just fell in love with somebody, and like I allow myself to fall in love with somebody, and that's it. It's
Right.
not a matter of, oh, they're so hot, let's hook up and like turn it into something. It's like, no, legit, like I have some deep, strong feelings for you because we've built a great friendship, and I can see this going somewhere, but I'm not going to sacrifice my primary relationship for it.
See, the hard thing in my community is that, you know, you can't really call it polyamory because we grew up in a very patriarchal system, you know, where the husbands are, you know, force themselves into these dual marriages and things like that. So it's kind of like I can do it, but you can't do it, and it's like, you know, a second wife, you know, to kind of serve the man, and so it's more dominance and control and things like that. So I don't ever think we really practiced it right, if you know, at all. So it's a very different thing with us. You know, because I know some of my people are gonna criticize like, oh, two partners, blah blah. We've been through that all our lives. Well, not really. It's not consensual. We never really practiced it in a respectful way, and so it's you know, there's an imbalance of power there. So it's never really, you know, you're never really seen it done happily, right? Like we've hung around enough polyamorous people where it's like they actually have really healthy relationships. No one's
Hmm.
no one's dominant or controlled over the others. So, you know, it's a different experience for us, right? Where people, a lot of
Yeah.
people would probably hate it because they grew up seeing, you know, the abuse, you know, because it can be abusive. You gotta be very careful.
Mhm. Yeah, like my partners, I allow them to have other partners. Like it's not even that I allow them, it's just that is their right. Their body belongs to them. As long as you're protecting yourself, getting tested regularly, taking care of your body, not treating yourself like trash and treating your other partners like trash, perfect. Because the last thing I want to do, or the last thing I want to hear, is that you're treating a girl that you're having a relationship with like trash, because that lets me know what kind of soul you have. You're not about to treat her like trash, buy me a diamond necklace and not buy her a diamond necklace. You got me fucked up.
Right.
You're not about to buy me a brand new car, not buy her a brand new car. Are you wallet? No. Like I am
Yeah.
very much like treat everybody well. You're not about to use her for her body. Absolutely not. You're gonna go out with her, you're gonna spend time with her, you're gonna get to know her pain, you're gonna get to know her happies and her whatever, and treat her like a human being. Treat her with respect. And if I even have to have that conversation with you, you gotta go.
Right.
Like,
So
bye.
you're respectful. You want the equality. You want her to be loved. You don't want to step in the way of her, you know, freedom and treatment. You know, yeah. So once you start to feel primary, you know, and dominant in a relationship, actually don't like that, right? Or what? Because most people would be like, hell no, you know, I better get more attention over her or him, right? So,
Well,
you know,
because if the attention is balanced, then it's not an issue. Now, if you're with this other person and now you're not picking up my phone calls, you're not showing up on time, you're canceling our dates, you're, holding back on the love and the care and affection, then I'm gonna be like, you know what? If that person is more of a primary partner to you, either we could all sit down at the round table and decide where we are at in this relationship, or you can make that person your significant other, like you guys could be monogamous together, whatever works for you. But I'm just not going to sacrifice the my boundaries and my needs because this new partner came into the picture. That's it.
right. But if it's in reverse and she's starting to and you're getting too much attention and being too spoiled over the other girl, you don't like that neither, right?
No, I'm going to have a conversation with my partner privately and be like, I'm reading the signs, I'm seeing how she feels. I don't think this is appropriate
Right, it's not fair.
if you're trying to have a relationship with both of us. That's it. Like if I'm reading the signs and then we're having open dialogue about, maybe she's not talking to him about it, maybe she's talking to me about it, and I'm just
Right.
like, all right, I gotta talk to homeboy. Listen, you know, Lucy says XYZ, XYZ, you gotta figure that out, because if you don't want to lose her as a friend or as a partner, this is what you got to do. But the fact that I even got to talk to you about it means that you're not in touch. You're not in touch. Should you even be in this?
Right. So that's a very respectful approach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
agree. And it's very dangerous because people have come to me about poly relationships and stuff too. I can't even say that I'm really poly. I mean, I do date around and I date socially as a lifestyle and things like that, but I've never really done it with an actual partner, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've done it while, like, I mean, I've dated I'm always dating multiple people at multiple times, but not when, I'm in a committed relationship and never really, I think poly, the definition is really, being in multiple committed relationships, not just dating multiple people,
Yeah.
dating around. And so, yeah, it's a very different approach. I do have people try to like have me give them advice, but I'm like, just be very, very honest. I don't ever encourage it because I don't think people can stomach it. I don't think they have enough thick enough skin. I don't think they gonna, they gonna do the right things and play the game right. And so for me, it's just like, look, first of all, not my number one advice is stay away. My number two advice is, if you must, yeah, I can at least share with you the experiences that I've seen because I've been around it. And
Mm-hmm.
who knows? I can probably be one myself. I just haven't been there.
Yeah,
But
I've
I
been
feel-
asked in the group. I've been asked in the group, "Hey, can you share
yeah,
like your
exactly.
polys?" And I'm just like, "This is a monogamous group. I'm not going to
Right.
talk about my poly. Like I can
What
once in a
group is
blue
that?
moon, Aphrodisiac. Like I can write stuff in the group like once every 6 months about my relationship, but I do not talk about poly stuff often because it's a monogamous group and I respect that 100%. That lifestyle is not for the weak.
So you run two dating social pages, right?
No, just one.
Oh, Latinas and Asian men. That's not you.
Oh yeah, I do actually. You're right. I have Afroasiatic Latinas, and then I have the Afroasiatic for Black, Latin, and Asian dating.
Okay. So Afro-Asiatic dating, Latinas and Asian men, and she has me moderate those pages with her. They're
Mm-hmm.
some fun pages, and they're people love that there's a platform for them, to you know
Mm-hmm.
go out of the way and have some real discussions and things. So if you're ever interested in those backgrounds, interracial dating, we encourage it. Come in. I'm always promoting it too. So and
Yeah,
I do a lot of
I
the pick and
appreciate
choosing.
that.
So.
I appreciate that. But like, I feel like in general, I don't even care if like okay, so like for me, it's just like I want everybody to just find the person that loves them.
Right.
Doesn't matter if they're Asian, Black, White, Latino, Middle Eastern. Like I don't care. Just find the right person for you. And right now, the dating scene is so plagued with the red pill guys and the alpha male podcasts and like I heard recently that men are literally downloading apps so they can swipe right on women and then curse them out if they match.
Right.
Why would like that's gonna make women not want to be on the apps,
Right.
so why do that? That doesn't make sense to me.
So you've been into Asian men for quite some time, right?
Yeah, since like so I mean I've been into like every guy,
Of course. Right.
every
Right. Right.
race.
But
But
when
Asian
did you
guys,
delve
like
into like Asian men?
honestly, like I grew up thinking that Asian guys were super masculine just because like I used to watch a lot of martial arts.
Mhm.
And so I used to always be like, oh yeah, that's like creme de la creme guy. Like he's gonna protect me. And he has perfect hair and he has pretty eyes. So in my head, I always pictured them as athletic, artistry, like artsy,
Mm.
good looking, great jawlines. Like in my head, it was always just the majestic. Like
So it's opposite of the stereotype. Wow.
yeah, opposite of the stereotype. So like when people started talking about the stereotype of Asian guys, I was like, what?
Right.
Like I
I don't
didn't
see
get
that at
it.
all. Right.
I didn't get it at all until like the K-pop situation started popping off, and this is like around 2013 where I started noticing girls wearing book bags with like these K-pop idols on it. I didn't know they were K-pop idols, but I was like, oh, who are those guys? They're super cute. They're like, oh, they're K-pop. And I'm like, K-pop, what's that? And they're like, you know, Korean pop? Yeah, this is this and this is that. And I'm like, oh
But
my
the young
God. And
girls are
then,
starting to love that too.
huh?
But the young girls are starting to love that too. They like the pretty guys.
Yeah, well, this was like a 19-year-old, and this is I was around
Mm,
23, 24 at the time, and she was 19. And so she was so into it, a white girl, and
right.
very cute girl. And then I just was like, I went online and I looked it up. I'm like, huh, this is interesting. And they are cute. Okay. And then that's when I slowly started kind of, well, I was dating a South Asian guy. So it wasn't like I wasn't like familiar with Asians and stuff, but and I had already dated an East Asian guy. So it's like it's never been like new to
And
me.
those
It's
are
just okay.
and those sometimes are polar opposites, right? A South and
Yeah.
East Asian, like you get
Yeah.
two completely different things, right? Right.
Yeah. But like when I saw the K-pop thing, I was just like, oh, this is a whole new
It's
thing.
new. Right.
And then around 2016, that's when I started really looking at it like, huh, this is something that is going to tumble. This
And
is
it
going to
is.
turn. Yeah.
It's
And
very new
then,
because
yeah.
I was cruising on La Brea one time in right in the middle of Hollywood, and I pulled up. There was a whole line of like really young girls, just like fanboying, sitting in line. I was like, "What's going on, man?" And I thought, some big cat was in town. I was looking around, I was scoping the scene, and I was wondering who are all these. It was like 80% like white, black, Latina, right?
Who was it? Jay Park?
No, and there was like some Asian girls too, but it was like 80% non-Asian, and it was BTS. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, the scene has really changed. You got all these different ethnicities, like here for an Asian, pop band, and you typically back then it would be put the other way around, predominantly like 80% Asian girls, and then you see a good 10-20% of other races. But it was like completely in reverse. So I'm like, well, these parents are gonna have something to deal with in this new era if they don't like their daughters dating Asian men. So you know,
When it comes to the K-pop scene, I wasn't entirely into the whole look, but like G Dragon came out, I was like, okay, and then Jay Park was okay. His music is like mid, but very handsome guy.
uh-huh.
And just like I kind of started liking that feminine look too. So just
Really,
like yeah, but I think that I like all type of Asian guys. I like the feminine look, I like the jock look, I like the nerdy look. I don't really
yeah,
have
same,
like
yeah, same with me with girls, yeah, sure.
yeah, I don't really have a preference on like what I like them to look like, just as long as they have a really pretty face. Like I'm cool with that. Um
But
but I feel like what a lot of girls were doing, they were like fantasizing about how these guys are, not knowing that a lot of Asian dudes come from really harsh, narcissistic family upbringings, and that like a lot of girls would be like, "Oh, I want a Korean guy." I'm like, "Do you know like what their background is? Like a lot of their dads are just, oh my god, like
killers, drunkards, and
emotional constipation, narcissism, very passive aggressive. It's
see,
like
but
you
yeah, so here's the thing. It's like, there's so much about Asians that don't get televised, You just kind of go by what they sell on television. And so a lot of the girls that I have interracially dated with, like what you said yourself, you've known them to be, masculine, to be hip, to be all these other things. And so I get a lot of, like coming like a lot of the women I dated have looked at it from your lens, right? Well, that's how they see Asian men. So, being Milwaukee is my hometown. There's a lot of black Asian dating here, and in the small towns, a lot of the white girls love the Asian men, and so, and that's one thing. But the other thing is this part definitely doesn't get televised. Is that these white girls growing up? they grow up thinking that white men are disgusting. Like they look at them like white. Like I've seen white boys all my life. Like that's not attractive to me. You know,
Hmm.
so they kind of want like anything but like like a white boy, right? So so they go after the Asians, Latinas, and the blacks. And so I'm not saying that that's a good or bad thing. That's not my point. But when you have white women say, oh no, we want Asian, or even black woman in the city was like, oh no, we prefer Asian men. But that's something that would never get televised, right? So it's instead it's so the opposite that it's polarizing to those who see it. It's like, wait, what, you like Asian? And it's like, but it's normal. Like I grew up, that's so normal. So
Yeah, but like also they always try to propagandate it as Asian men only want to be with white women, and then when
yeah, no,
Asian men go for the white girls and the white girls are actually not what they think they are, then they're disappointed, and then they want to come to the Latinas and the black women. It's like, no, 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 we weren't your first choice,
right,
sir.
exactly.
Like like white girls was absolutely your preference, and then when Connie with the blonde hair was like, no, you're mid, you look weird when I
I don't
hang
know
out
about
with my
me,
friends.
but yes, most of my Asian men, I can definitely vouch for that. Technically, they would go for a white woman first, and so that is very typical, and it's terrible because like I said, we both Afro-Asiac. It's what we love. It's what we, like I always try to push my my Asian friends to black women more, and because they know like that's probably my primary. Anyways, I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but they've seen a lot of that. So to them, it's like, oh yeah, that's what Elvis into, blah blah. But it's like, well, not necessarily, but sometimes yeah, naturally that's where the attraction is. But yeah, no,
Hmm.
but typically on the scale of like my friends, though, yes, very very true.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, and I think that it says a lot more about their self-hate and how much they pedestalize whiteness and the sperm of white men than it does anything else. Like,
is that worse for Asian men or Asian women?
I think for both, same
Right,
thing with like black men that do that.
right,
But I think that we're coming to a place where we're realizing that it's about relatability
right,
and it's about understanding. So dating people that just don't get it, regardless of if
right,
they're white, regardless if they're Asian or whatever they are, if they don't understand, like if me and you go out and you don't understand that someone's being silently racist towards me,
right,
if you can't pick up on that, why are we together?
right.
Because I want you to be able to go, honey, let's go. And I'm like, okay, because you get it. You get that whoever I'm talking to right now is low key sideswiping me in some way because they think I'm beneath them because I'm a woman of color and they just can't respect me.
It's just like you always get to, why do Asian women dig white men so much stuff, and I'm like, well, I mean, like you guys are,
They
you're.
want to be part of the hierarchy. They want to be in the hierarchy.
It's like you guys put yourself in that seat. Like everything is, everything is white, 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 white. Right? You're all in magazines, but like of course, like even someone from a third world country will look at that and be like, yeah, I want that, right? Because that's how you brand it. That's part of the fabrication. And so, it's not like you have an Asian man on every newspaper and every media outlet and every TV show like as like the head guy, right? Because, then the roles might be different, right? So it's more of a societal thing than it really is, I mean, I'm not saying it isn't an attraction either. I'm sure it is, but it's very different when what I mean, when there's this, you put someone in a different class and then be like, oh, why are they so attractive? Well, what do you think? Like they're seen 99% of the time over everybody else, you know. But and not only that, it's also like it's not even that certain races aren't on the pedestal. They're actually forced away from that, even when they were, you know because there was a lot of history of, you know, uh, black men back then being attracted, that, and now they had to, and then were persecuted for that. Asian men were attractive and were persecuted for that. That happened in film. That happened, yeah, in the days of the army, when men used to take care of the army's wives, and then they started sleeping with Asian men. They started sleeping with Asian men, and the white men persecuted them, right? And then Asian men were told, you can't act next to white girls anymore because that's offensive, and it's actually gonna it's gonna trend to be something popular, and we don't want that. I mean, it offends you in a way, but I never really put my energy to that. Like I said, all my circle have been very natural, the way I've dated. Interracially, other women were just always attracted to me, and I was always attracted to them. So I never, the stereotypes never really was a part of my life. Probably like some others, but it just sucks when some do go through that. I mean, I even
Yeah.
had, I had a Hmong woman of mine. She did a sex podcast, right? And and this is kind of how I feel too. But she goes, I do think white men are attractive, but she says I don't like Western white men. So she elaborated. She made it very clear. I go to Europe. I date Europeans. I, and to some people that might be like, what's the difference? But it is very different because I feel the same way. Like I would date a European woman who is still, I guess, what you consider white, over in a Western typical, blonde or whatever. Here in the States, it's a very different thing, right?
Oh
Like
yeah, I
dating a
know.
European, a
I've dated
foreign,
Europeans.
you know what I'm saying? It's very different. Like they're culturally very, very, very different.
Yeah.
Western woman in general, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's a bit
they carry themselves differently,
very
and
different, much
yeah.
more
And
attractive.
so for me, it's definitely dating in the West. For me, it's like
Right.
dating a zombie. Like it's like dating a zombie. It's really nothing there.
Right. If I can't sit with you
And
for 2 minutes, like, and still be engaged, yeah, like me and the girl
it
was
just
talking. Go ahead.
it just feels like they're sucking the life out of you, and you're
Yeah.
trying to suck the life out of them. And it's like, I don't want that kind of
Right.
relationship. I want to feel like we're in a collaborative relationship, or we're sharing culture, we're sharing different point of views. But like when you're here, everybody kind of has the same point of view, and I try my best to preserve my unique point of views by hanging out with people in my culture, also staying connected to my culture. But at the same time, there's things about my culture that I do not necessarily love.
Right.
So I just try to have like a healthy medium with that. And when it comes to love, I even though like I don't necessarily love dating Western people, I still appreciate the freedoms we do have in terms of like being able to speak our mind about certain things in the dating world. And I do appreciate some of the, I guess, the nuances of Western society.
Yeah.
But like dating here, I don't think that I could ever date a third generation American. Like I just
Tough, right?
I tried? Yes. Did I
Right.
enjoy it? Absolutely not. Like I did not enjoy it because I felt like I was having spaghetti and not pasta.
See, I
You know,
used to,
like
well, I see. I used to have like a sexual addiction too, where I didn't value enough of who I was sleeping around with and things like that. Eventually, when I gave myself more space, right, as far as abstinence and things like that, like I'm starting to learn about semen retention. I want to know more about that. But anyways, I realized the more I took a break, from sex, that I became what they call a sapiosexual. So, a sapiosexual is attracted to the mind first. If you ain't attracted to a woman's mind or intellect, then there's almost no sexual attraction to the woman, right? So
right.
that plays to what we were just talking about in the West, with the Western world, is that there could be a bombshell that is an 8, and as soon as you open your mouth, you just drop down to a 4 like that fast, right? I could be with a 4, but I'm like, she like, all right, I'll take her out. And then as soon as you open your mouth, that intellect just, whoo, right? That meter just went up to an 8. So you just went from a 4 to an 8, and you know what I mean? Like I can hold on to that instead of the Yeah, you can be a bombshell, but it's like I can't stand to be with around you, right? So
What you said is interesting because I think that that's what's happening in America right now. Even though people are saying it's more of a divide between genders, I think what's also happening is that because we've been so over sexualized and saturated with this whole text, you need it, you need to do it, you need to do it. It's so overdone now that now people are going into falling in love with the mind more, falling
right.
in love with the person's actions and their integrity and their nobleness. Like they're falling in love with the things they're supposed to be falling in love with. And I'm sort of, I mean, it's sad that it had
It's
to
also
get there.
sexy.
Yeah, and I mean, it's sad that it had to get there because we abused sex so much as people, but at the same time, it needed to happen for people to understand. Like, there's more to life. There's more to relationships than just intercourse.
I mean, we even like we're even at a point now, where we're using like mental illness and anxiety and things as attraction. Like it's sexy to be a little vulnerable now. It's sexy to be, a little broken, and you know what I mean, because it's sexy to see how people handle that, right? It's sexy to see how what their attitudes are with that, and how the personalities play a part in that. Where back then sexual, like what was, it's just ass and titties, and and you're cute and you're hot and everything sexy was just physical, but now it's like, the language has changed. Like, no, the mental faculty, the spiritual faculties are now sexy, right? So,
Yeah, the way people manage uncomfortable situations and the way they grow and become mature people is what's becoming the new sexy. Being a bombshell with the perfect body or being a guy with the six pack and the M's and all that stuff, that's just not cutting it anymore, especially because 49, I think now it's gone up to 60% of men have erectile dysfunction by the time they're 40. Okay. And women, it doesn't matter how much plastic surgery you get, eventually you're going to age. And so do men as well. And it's like people are realizing like your body parts really don't last forever.
but
Like your essence is what's going to be worthwhile. You know what I'm saying?
see, this is also why like men find me really weird, right? You know how you said you had different types of looks, right? You have you like the nerdy guy, you like the tough guy, you like, like the pretty guy, blah blah blah. When I go out with women, it's also like in different categories. Like I'll have the girl that I just want to have dinner with, and then I have the girl that I just want to cuddle with, and then I have the girl, you know what I mean, that I'll take out in public, and then I have the girl that I just want to sleep with, and the girl that's just you're my private person at home, and so it's like I have different girls for different things, and the guys would be like, well, why you gonna waste time with her, like having dinner, and you ain't even getting none, bruh. And I'm like, you don't understand. I can get sex when I want to get. Like, it's not a big deal to me. But you know, I want sit down time too because I may not have that with this girl. You know what I mean? Maybe we just smashing and it's all right, good night, text, bye, bye, bye. So it's like, I still, especially maybe because I grew up in
Well,
a
men can't enjoy the moment. That's the issue. A lot of guys cannot enjoy the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And and yeah, and I'm a big part of the sex community, right? And so I have different, sometimes, like I'm with a partner, we go a little lighter. I want something more extreme. I'm not gonna lie, I go hang out in a dungeon or something. I want something intense, like I see, I join other communities where, couples do things that, are typically out in what y'all call the not normal, completely normal to me. But it's yeah, like we have crowds that just like we do group cuddles. I'll just go to parties and it's a cuddle party, and it's just like, oh yeah, everyone just wants to get what they call an oxy token high off each other, and we're all just we're just locked in arms, and we're spooning, and it's
A
cool.
cuddle puddle.
Cuddle puddle, if that's what you want to call it, right? So and like I said, it's also I realized when I had a sexual addiction that I also had, I don't know what to call it, but I also didn't know how to not be with women, right? I grew up in a female dominated household. So I have all older sisters. I'm the baby boy and and the only boy. And so I think I got so used to and accustomed to just being with girls all the time. So I
Hmm.
started realizing that even when I did, because I did practice abstinence for some time.
Hmm.
That was very hard for me, but it did actually work for some time. But I didn't. But then I still went on dates, and so I'm like, well, if you're not getting sex, then why why are you still going out seeing women? And I realized that it was that attachment, like I was uncomfortable. I didn't know how to be. I didn't know how to not be around women. So I also realized that that's another addiction then, you know. So it was more beyond sex. It was just like you need to be in a woman's presence all the time. So you got to learn how to deal with that. So I don't know.
Yeah, like maybe you. Well, the thing is if you're a sex addict and then you pair that with being in a home that was more female dominated, you didn't really give yourself the opportunity to spend time alone with like with other males or your masculine self. It was like this is something that was going to connect you. Being around women connects you to the feminine side of you
Right.
versus you being able to stay within yourself and like spend time with yourself and tap into that without women being around.
Like if I wasn't on a date like at least once a week, yeah, that was like really, really, like odd for me, and I wouldn't feel. I don't know. So, um,
I could go a while without
yeah,
dating
yeah.
and
I mean, now it's
without
not that
hooking.
constant, but I realized back at that time that's how it was. But now, yeah, no, yeah, you know,
Yeah, I could go a while without dating or like hooking up with anybody. In fact, even like when I was looking for a secondary partner, um, I went out with several guys and I just had no interest in hooking up. Like I was just like, "You're fine" and stuff. Like I would meet basketball players, everything, and I was just like,
right,
"No, I don't care." Actors, no, I'm fine. Cause I
yeah,
really wanted a connection with someone that like it not just feels safe, but I wanted to feel the way you feel when you first fall in love as a
right,
kid.
uh,
I didn't want to just like be with someone because they were hot and because they have, status. It was like, no, I really want to feel that nostalgia of like childhood, of like, oh my gosh, I just love sipping soup with you. This is great. Like I
eating
just
banana
love.
pancakes. No,
Yeah, I wanted that. And thank God like I got out of that phase where I was boy crazy. I left that boy crazy phase around 22, 23 years old. And even then I wasn't really that boy crazy, but I got out of that phase at 23 because I definitely look into the future a lot, and what I was seeing was what is happening now. People were becoming so disconnected from each other, and I did not want to get to that point where I just couldn't connect anymore because I am sharing my time and my energy with people that honestly I'm not going to see 5 years from now, who are not going to visit me at the hospital if I break my leg in an accident. Like I just didn't want to waste my time with those people.
see, like that's where I was, but it was internally though. It was I was losing people and all that kind of stuff too. But the worst thing I was losing me, right? So when you're just seeking any type of pleasure, and you're so used to that, and that became your life, eventually you don't love yourself, right? Because you don't have any value, you don't have any morals, you're just looking for a good time. And so that was when I really had to step back. Like I couldn't look at the man in the mirror anymore. I was sabotaging myself. It yeah, like sex became like a drug. Like I just needed it all the time. I didn't know how to like I didn't know how to deal with it, and I had to preserve myself. I had to learn how to go without it. I had to really push myself.
You had to preserve your dignity, whatever you had left.
I didn't have a lot of that, right? And
Yeah.
so it was tough. It was tough, and I, and I just love me so much more now than I did back then. And so how can I love somebody else, you know? And this is why I've been single for so long, because I didn't know how to love someone else. I ain't love me. So I had to get me in order, you know. If
Hmm.
I was ever gonna build better relationships. And so
So do you feel like that's what's eventually going to happen to men in the dating game, that they are going to either be so sexed out or they're going to continuously run into dead ends with women, and then they're going to be like, oh shit, like I just met some girl and I can't even love her correctly because I don't even know what love is, because I've never taken the time to love myself and value my own body. And you know what's weird? It's just like so many guys will not admit that they've had STDs and that they've done this and that. And
yeah.
you know, just because you don't tell anybody, that doesn't mean that that doesn't affect you on a personal level.
Uh,
And you go out there and a little piece of yourself and your self-esteem kind of lowers a little bit, and then you're overcompensating by hooking up with more women
mhm.
to feel like you're not dirty or feel like you're not unlovable and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of guys are going through that. It's been hard for men to accept that they're not, they're unbreakable, like they felt like they were unbreakable for so long,
Well,
but it's yeah.
and you're gonna meet your match at some point, right? But
Oh yeah,
so,
for sure.
so for me, it was like right, and I at some point I started feeling like, you know, the some of the qualities that that women feel. Right? I started feeling like, man, now I'm the one that is being. I I feel like being used for sex now. I feel like, okay, more women are contacting me than I'm contacting them now, and or I feel like, you know, like, man, is that all they want from me? Like sometimes, you know, like at first you're seeking it, right, and then now it's seeking you more, and you're like,
Yeah, it's
okay.
not fun when the bunny got the gun. It ain't fun.
Right. So now it's like, oh, damn, this is how women feel like. Because now I'm starting to feel like, damn, like I don't, you know, even feel right anymore. And so, but going off of that, in today's day and age, all right, body count seems to be an issue. Um, at your age, would you want? I mean, I'm sure there's a limit, right? Would you want a man who have a higher body count or a lower? I mean, of course, lower is ideal, but is there any maybe? I don't know.
Do I have a criteria of like
Well,
what body count I want?
like, would there be reservation if a man didn't have enough body count? Would you assume maybe he's not responsible or excuse me, experienced? Would that be unattractive? You know,
I
as
think it really
equally as too
depends.
much body count could be unattractive.
I think it depends on the guy. So
Yeah,
if the guy hasn't had a lot of sexual partners, but he's amazing in bed, he knows exactly what to say, what to
yeah,
do. He's like extremely handsome and he's a go-getter. And like him having a high body count or low body count really doesn't affect me. Now, if you're trash in bed and you have a high body count, I'm gonna be like, what is wrong with you?
right.
Like, have you been lied to your whole life? Or I'm gonna be thinking to myself, if you have a low body count and you're also bad in bed and you're also bad at relationships, I'm gonna be thinking, you do not have enough experience to be with a grown ass woman.
Right.
Like, you need to be with someone who's a virgin. Like, you, someone that doesn't feel like they could compare you to anything else. And the thing is like
So
I
that
don't
can
like
be
to.
a fact. Like low body count could show, could reflect, yeah, some
No,
unattractiveness in a
low,
man.
whether you have low body count or high body count, it doesn't make you a better
Right.
lover.
Right. Right. Right.
Whether you have low body count, high body count doesn't make you a better person or a worse person. What I'm saying is, if all the other qualities aren't there that make you
Right.
a catch, then it doesn't matter what body count. You're just not it. Whether you got a bunch of women on the line, if your personality sucks, you're no fun, you're broke,
Right.
you're not funny,
Right.
you're a bad kisser, you have bad hygiene, it don't matter if you got 600 women that you've banged. Bye. I'm not interested. And
Right.
if you have 4 women that you've been with, great. But are you a good communicator? Are you, because you could have 4 girlfriends in your whole life because you're a relationship type guy, but you fucked up all those relationships.
So if he had a high body count, but he did have all those qualities, that doesn't you're not looking down on that, right?
I'm not looking down on it. I'm like, give me your STD results.
Okay.
I need to see your STD results, and I also need to check your, you need a psychological evaluation to see that you're good. And I also need to know how many of those encounters were consensual.
Right.
Because here's the thing, a man that says he's been with 600, 700, 1,000 women, it's very hard. It is very hard for it to always have been consensual.
You think so?
Whereas, like I said, for the men that have had been, even for rock stars,
Hmm.
look at the rock stars and the celebrities right now going down. You would think that they have all the access in the world to women where they didn't have to
Yeah.
drug them, keep them barricaded in the house, put them in a fucking basement. They still did it. So I would have to make sure that all of those 600, 700, 9,000 women are consensual. Because the second I found out that one of them wasn't, bye.
So there's skepticism there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right.
So
I
yeah,
get it.
but
I get it. But it's
and
not.
the same thing for a guy that's only had four, because I'm like, you've only had four. What's wrong with you? Did you have to trick them into a relationship? Because why? Because why?
Right.
Because why only four?
Right.
And you're so bad at relationships. Why only four?
And it's also so different. Like the body count. If you just if the discussion was between men and women, it's like two different reactions, right? So it's strange how that works out.
So all my boyfriends have had low body counts.
Right.
So all my boyfriends have had 3, 4 girls that they've ever slept with in their life.
But I'm saying if we had this discussion about women, the male reaction would be a whole lot different than the way you just explained it.
Yeah, but I feel like that's because men are worried about being compared, while women have
Right.
always been compared to other women. So you comparing us, it's like, okay, whatever, next.
Yeah.
But for guys, it's more about like this weird territorial thing where men don't understand that women get sex thrown at them so much.
Right.
We are the ones that can cheat whenever the fuck we want.
Right.
Like, we're practicing so much more self-control than you guys understand.
Yeah.
Like, I get hit on like a lot.
Okay.
A lot. And I have to be like, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you, respectfully, no thank you very much for the compliment, respect. Even when a nigga's bad ass, when he's
Right.
bad fucking ass, I might be poly, but I'm not hooking up with dudes just because they say you're beautiful, let me take you out to dinner. What? No,
Right.
I'm fine. So I don't think men understand how much harder it is for women to be faithful. We
No,
really have to put our head down. Like, we really have to put our head down.
y'all got a different kind of power than we do. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like I mean, men, there's a different receptiveness, and so like that feminine energy is very addictive, and it's also like like there's a difference between being more reluctant, as some males, and like women have a lot of self-control, especially because the access is there more. You know what I mean? Like men would access you any day, right? But you ain't gonna, women don't access, ain't trying to access men in the same energy sometimes. And so it's kind of like what I tell all my married friends, right? They'll be like, "Oh, I'm faithful, blah, and I'll never cheat," and that's cool. And I'm like, I respect that. However, I know a lot of y'all didn't have chances to cheat. First of all, right? There's a difference between you accumulating chances and and yeah, that's a bad way to look at it, but it's like you probably didn't cheat because you couldn't. You know what I mean? Versus like you had chances to cheat and you still didn't. So are you truly faithful, or are you just or are you just getting away
Right.
with it?
Or it's just you haven't had the chances to do
Right,
it.
exactly. So it's like
Right. So that's why I feel like men need to give us more credit, because like,
yeah.
easily in a week we could go out, dressed in a basic long
Yeah.
sleeve with some khakis, because that's what I have on, and I'm gonna get hit on at least 20, 30 times.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Gas station, Publix, at like the shoe store,
Right.
at the mall.
And you might want it too, but you gotta, you choose to refrain. So
And then I gotta be like, like I gotta act like I didn't just see this dude just do this whole like flexing thing to get his milk jug from the thing.
yeah.
Like, sir, I just saw you. I get it. You got gains. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like I don't think men give women enough credit in that department.
No,
You know.
I do, because like I said, I know I've been bad at it, and my self control has been very poor, and so for anybody, male or female, to have that kind of restraint and discipline, it says a lot. It's a tough practice, to be honest.
Hmm.
It ain't like, you know, it ain't like women just don't want to sleep with men as much. It's like, yeah, they do. It's just, but they have, they have to dig deep too, right? So
Well, no, they have to care about societal standards
yeah, that
and the pressures and the judgment. But like for the most part, like the reality is when I grew up, I was born in the 80s. But like when our husbands or our brothers or our cousins or the males in our house would leave to go to work, we would go to the back and talk shit about being married, talk shit about having a like not me, but like my aunts and stuff like that, my cousins. They'll talk shit about what it's like to freaking be taking care of a man hand and foot, and we'll talk shit about all that. And as soon as the men get home, it's like, hey, honey,
that's what I
here's
wanted.
your
That's what I
coffee
didn't
and
bring up.
Domino's.
That's what I didn't bring up about the polyamory relationships, right? Everybody hates on you when you say you're a poly, and they're like, "Oh, how could you?" Blah blah blah. But yet, those are the same people with the most miserable of all relationships. I sit here, man. I'm at home with my friends, and like I go back to circles that I have left for a while. I'm like, dude, like y'all look so sad, right? But yet, y'all criticize my dating lifestyle. That I get it. I had a lot of troubles with, but I felt like I'm a lot healthier about it now. But not only me, I have friends that are very happy. Yourself, right? You practice it in a very healthy way where where you respect, where you're consensual, it's fair, and you end up more happy. I have a lot of friends who do that. I mean, I have friends, swingers, and like I've been around some crazy friends. And so, but I'm like, but they look so happy. And I come back to my, committed long-term married friends, and it's like y'all pretend pretty well, but like y'all are not.
Y'all can't really hide it. Oh no, and you know
That's
what?
true.
Also, I meet a lot of women that are like, "How could you be poly? Like, that's crazy. I could never do that." I'm like, "Sweetheart, you fucked like five different guys this month. You know that, right?"
You mean you hide it better?
And three out of the five guys you fucked, you said, "I'm pretty sure I'm in love with him."
Right.
And you literally had just met him from the dating app. So the fact that you're saying that me being poly, who hasn't fucked anybody in a year, this is when I first got there. I haven't smashed anybody in a year, and
Right.
you fucked five guys in in literally 5 weeks. You're telling me being poly is an issue, and you didn't even wear a condom?
Right.
Are we in the same planet here?
It's like what Woody Harrelson said in the movie A Natural Born Killers. Like, uh, is my moment of honesty worth more than than the lifetime of your lies, right, or your insecurities, right? I think he played in that porn movie too, didn't he? Where he was talking about like, I think that movie, the message of that movie. I don't know if you know the movie I'm talking about. It released maybe 10 years ago, where this, when porn became highly like controversial, and a guy was standing up, he was talking about, but porn's very honest. It's in your face. It's direct. It says what it does. Like it says what it means. It means what it says. A lot of you guys, that are trying to be against the porn industry and blah blah blah, but yet, you do all these things under the surface. You're actually ruining marriages and households, and like it's like. So what's more pure and what's more, you know what I mean? And what's like, I'm not saying I'm vouching for porn, but when you look at it from that standpoint, it's like, it's
Yeah, the same people
a
talking shit
very
about
honest
porn
approach.
the
But
same people
y'all
talking shit
are full of
about porn
corruption.
are using porn to escape their marriages. The same
Right.
people talking shit about porn are the same people that when they go out, they fantasize about that chick that just passed by them with the fake tits and be like, "Oh, I wish, I wish that my wife looked like that." And then they go home and they watch a porno about women that look like the woman that just passed by them.
Right.
And so it's just like, I don't know. A lot of people just want to be moral ground thumpers. They want to be holy thumpers. And it's like, let's be real. Like a lot of y'all don't have integrity. Let's be honest. A lot of y'all not honest people. And so when I had that conversation with a few of my homegirls that were saying, "Oh, I could just never be poly," I'm just like, sweetheart, what you're saying is that you could just never let anybody know that you are sexually free with your body because you are so up the patriarchal standards ass
Yeah.
that you're willing to lie to a dude. You're willing to go out on a date with a man and he's going to ask you, when was the last time you had sex? And you're going to say, I haven't had sex in 3 years.
Or they lie that they're not married and things like that. No.
Or they lie that they lie about hooking up with 5 guys this month. Like you'll be like, how many guys you've been with? Oh, I've only been with 2, yet you've been with 30. There's no problem with that. My problem is that you are so up the patriarchal standards ass that you rather lie than be authentic to yourself.
Yeah.
A dude asks me who I've been with, what I've done. I'm gonna be like, listen, I can tell you, if you don't like it, it is on you.
Right. Right.
And I
And I'm
tell
very
him,
honest too, right. Like I can't control what information she gives me, but I can control, myself. And so, I know I've never been a homewrecker. Like that's not my goal. Even if I had chances, if I've ever been lied to, I don't know if I slept with someone's wife. If I did, I wasn't told. Right. So, or at least not consensually, right? Like, I mean, there's some men who consensually want you to sleep with their wife. That's a whole different topic, you know. But.
what's interesting also to me is like, so I'm poly, and a lot of people expect me to act a certain way. Like they think, like if I tell them I'm poly, they think that I'm gonna go to the club, I'm gonna make out with like
Yeah, right.
randos, I'm gonna hook up with you the first night, I'm gonna drink a bunch of
Because
weed,
people
snort
don't
some,
explore these lifestyles, they don't
yeah,
know.
I'm
It's
just
all
gonna
bias.
snort. I'm just gonna snort some yayo with you, and then we're gonna like make out in the bathroom in the
Right,
stall. Like they expect me to be this person. I'm like, I am literally the most boring person. And then when guys actually get to know me, they're like, are you sure you're poly? Because like you don't, it's not giving poly, it's giving regular relationship and you just haven't found the one. I'm like, no, 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 no. I just connect with
right,
people in order to practice any type of romanticism. I don't just think someone's attractive and have a martini and some frozen chicken bites from Fridays and think, oh yeah, let me just go home with you.
right. They think we're out of control and undisciplined, and that we just want to smash around, and it's not that at all.
Right.
Actually, when I did practice abstinence, what got me back into being sexually active again, was because I found a support system. I discovered that there were sex communities where people shared the same values, and um, like so polys, right? Like even like swingers and things like they're very respectful. The typical person from outside of the scope would think, oh, that's so out of control, blah. But it's like it's actually very respectful circles. People love one another. They're consensual. They check in. They follow up. Like there's accountability. Like
Yeah,
very
boundaries, aftercare.
boundaries, right? Like you really have to ask these questions. You really, and afterwards you really have to, there's self-care, and like there's all this kind of stuff. Like people truly like actually like, I mean, there's always bad apples, of course, but for the most part it's like, like these people, like they're very human about this kind of stuff. There's a
Mm-hmm.
maturity and intelligence to this. It's not like what y'all think, well, oh yeah, everybody just goes to the club and smashes. Like, I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
there are circles like that, like not everyone's the same. But, in the right support groups, like that's how it is. Like whether you're, you know, sharing partners in all these different things, but it's not just
Mm-hmm.
out of control wreckage, like it's actually very organized and very specific and facilitated, things like that. People get kicked out. People get, like you can't,
Yeah.
like people get, like you can't, like you can't be around this anymore. You will be dealt with. There are penalties and all this stuff to it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not what people think at all.
I'm not into any sex communities because I just like, I don't really have like desires to have sex like that.
Yeah, yeah,
But so like my partner, he's very cerebral. Like he cares for sex, but it's not like it's just not like his priority. Like he just doesn't. He'd rather read a book.
Yeah, yeah,
He'd rather listen to a 4-hour history lesson of, of the world and like science or something. So like, yeah, like I'm not in any sex communities, but I appreciate that they're there so people can explore their sexuality and so they
right,
could understand a little bit more about what they find. Um, I mean, what they feel is purposeful or what they feel is sacred to them or special to them about sex. And maybe monogamy isn't necessarily that.
right.
And so I appreciate those things.
And that was
How
the
do you feel?
thing. Like that was the best. I'm not encouraging it, and like, and I'm not around it as much as I used to be. But that was almost like the perfect segue for me. If I was gonna return out of abstinence again, like, it was the perfect way to, that okay. So you're saying that I don't have to change too much about myself. I just change how I do things, right? Change how I
Mhm.
about things, and be a better, version of what I already was, that I know that in turn is gonna change me even more, right? Like I said, I'm so much better about it today. But yeah, you go ahead. You're gonna say something.
Like, how do you feel about the BDSM community? Because it's something that I absolutely want no parts of.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's very respectful. It's very, like you can just go and voyeur if you want. There's people in there who have done nothing. They just go, they warrior, they explore. So it is an exploration. It's a fucking giant museum. You do get to know what you like and you don't like. It's touch what you want to touch. Don't touch what you want to touch. And so I think you know, it's almost like people talk about MMA and the fight scene and things like that. I'm like, not everyone is the same. There's a different energy to every person. Some grew up more aggressive. Some like things more intense. And I think everything has should have a particular scene, or should have
But I think everything should also have a ceiling as well. Like there
no.
needs to be
I do
a
understand.
cap. There needs to be a cap.
That's what, like I said, when I'm around it, yeah, I have a cap. I can't speak for everybody else, right? But I've seen the BDSS and I don't participate in a lot of it at all. Most of it has been voyeuring. It's sometimes to me it's just a hangout. It's like going to any other club. It's just that there's a lot of sexual shit
Right.
happening, right? But it's just like for a while it became my hangout. I didn't touch a lot of the things they were doing. I wasn't pissing on people and beating people, with rods. I didn't come out with a black eye or being cut, right? But I got comfortable because I was in the sex community, so it was just like another way, like another environment to be around. And so, like, okay, cool, this is what y'all do, and and you're all my friends anyway. So I got comfortable with being around it.
Mm,
But I did have enough of a cap to where I didn't participate in a lot. So I've seen a
okay.
lot of crazy shit. I just didn't do it all, you know. But
Right.
you're right. I think with my upbringing, there's definitely been a cap for me, you know.
Yeah.
So I can share my
Yeah, like to
experience
me, like in
being around it.
polyamory, the cap should be if you're not using protection. Like if
Yeah.
you're not using protection, you're not getting regularly tested, all that. If you're having sex and having children and not taking care of those kids and you're getting into polyamorous relationships, you should not. Like that
You got
should
to
be the
consider your
cap.
other partner too, right? You owe it to them, right?
Yeah.
Um, Married men or no?
Am I into married men? No.
Like, yeah, your poly relationship is never with another married man, right?
So like my last partner, he was married.
Hmm. Okay.
But she was already poly.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So yeah, she already had like 3, 4 partners.
Okay. That was the only time.
Yeah, that
Oh
was the
no, you
only
stay away
time.
from non-poly married men. You stay away.
Yeah, I don't do married poly men. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah, not interested in that. And like I feel like when I get married, I'm not gonna practice polyamory, even though I'm polyamorous. I'm just not gonna practice it because I just don't like. Once I get married, I just feel like I want to focus on just my individual person and building my life with that. So that's why I want to be very sure about getting married. And that's why I haven't gotten married yet to my current partner, because I
Yeah.
want to be absolutely sure that I could practice monogamy with him and it doesn't feel like a sacrifice. Like I
That's what
don't
people
want
don't
it to
understand,
ever,
right? Like
I don't want to feel,
everyone lives through phases. Like this doesn't mean we do this forever. You know what I
I
mean?
don't, well, the thing is, I'm always going to be polyamorous.
Right,
That's
right.
like at
Yeah,
heart.
yeah,
I'm always going to be polyamorous, but like when you really love somebody and you
right.
know that monogamy is something that's going to make them feel safer, whether emotionally or just like secure them more in the relationship,
Mhm.
I will absolutely be monogamous, but it cannot be a sacrifice to me. It
Yeah,
needs to naturally be that,
yeah,
and I'm good. Like if it naturally flows out of me,
yeah. You want
great.
to take
Like
part in that too, right? Yeah, of course. Where did that come from?
that's Zoom for you.
Have you ever practiced tantra, like tantric yoga?
Like actually, yeah, when I was younger, I was definitely into it.
Cool.
Um, and I did actually feel like orgasmic and things of that nature. I think that, I mean, it works for some people. I could probably get back into it, but I would have to be, it would have to be with somebody that's very much someone that understands sex on a very
I always
fun.
say tantra is like the sexual gateway. Like how they say weed is the gateway to drug. Like I said, you know, like once you really get to tantra, then you explore. Then that's when you go off and explore. But you know, like that's like that. That is that gateway barrier. You know, that really releases. Yeah,
I think yes, to what you're saying, but
yeah,
I feel like people, like for me to practice that with anybody, like you would have to have a really baseline carnal understanding of sexuality,
hmm,
and like so I haven't really met anybody that I have that type of connection with, and I think it's because, like I said, I sort of date people that are more cerebral, people that are much more brainy, and like sex is kind of like, I don't want to say that sex is beneath them, but that's like to them, it's just not a priority. It's not
I get
something
it.
that
I get
they really care about.
it. I get it.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I'm a very sexual person, yet
Right.
I choose those kind of guys. It's so weird.
I'm actually kind of that way too. It's like there's a different sentiment, you know, with women. I mean, I want them to be sexual, but you know, it's like yeah, I don't know. Sometimes like when I get into actual like important relationships, I feel like the woman is always more like you know more sexual than I am. Even though I know naturally that I probably am, but for some reason it's different when I'm actually into someone. Then it's less about sex for me. You know, like it's weird how it takes it out of you like that. So, you know,
Yeah, but I feel like for women, because we are, persecuted for being sexual, when we meet somebody that's really into
yeah,
us and we're really into them, we want to exhaust our like our sexuality with them, because
yeah,
a lot of time we keep it restrained for so long. You know what I'm saying? So like I always tell guys, when you find a woman that's crazy about you, that wants to have sex with you like nonstop, just accept it.
yeah. I do see
Just
that. Like
accept it.
you finally have
Accept
that
it.
safe space to be not to not feel shameful, right? Like someone is okay with this. Like I can just, yeah. No, I get it. I get it. And I
And
do
then
get. I
the
give women a
men
lot of that space. I love it. I love
men
it.
push it, some men push it away, and then they're crying in their
Yeah, yeah.
40s and 50s. Oh, my wife doesn't want to touch me, or oh, I can't find a girl that wants to fuck. Dude, every girl that you've had that wanted to fuck, you've shamed her for wanting to fuck. Like,
Right,
what
right,
is
right.
your problem? It's weird. It's such a weird thing. So like dating today, I think that where we're at right now is that, so the dating apps, a lot of the people on the dating apps are straight up psychopaths and people that are avoidance, and I feel like avoidant people are the worst people to date.
Yeah, I'm not in that scene, so yeah.
And then for the people that are in the real world that are not on dating apps, I think that they're reorganizing themselves and learning how to romantically socialize themselves better, and it's easier that they're not on these apps to do so, because like when you're on these apps you have all these distractions, but when you don't have them and you're in person, they're learning, they're talking, they're getting they're getting better at it. But when they meet these people that are on dating apps that are used to just computer, dating app, and then you have the people that are not using it and they're coming together, there's so much disconnect.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah, and so that's what I think the dating world is right now. I think that people are gonna either they're gonna completely move away from dating apps, or they're going to find dating apps that are gonna make the connection stronger, which is like being able to dating apps that are only webcam based. Like
Now I see where we were conflicting in the beginning. Yes, I agree with what you're saying. I think what I was just trying to say was that I appreciate a profile. That's all, because it helps me, break the ice easier than, wasting a lot of time exploring. But you're right. But once you do get into it, yes, I think a lot of what you just said happens as well. So that's the other side of it. That is like, even if a profile looks pretty, that might not be what you get in person, right? Yeah. So
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like that's what's gonna happen. There's gonna be like dates that are going to be so dating apps that are going to be like, oh, you would have to do just webcam. It's not like, that whole chatting thing anymore. Like I feel it's going to become more intimate
Yeah.
because women are too scared, and men and women are scared of getting their heart broken, checking out, going on a date with somebody that's a total creep or a liar or catfishing you, so.
In going with that, like what I said before, I think that marriage is becoming less relevant, right? And so, because I've been like single, 90% of my adult life, probably more than that, but it's like I know these kids are gonna date more and more without marriage in mind, right? And because of that, it's gonna develop into something more social, like like lifestyle. So what we're talking about. So with my openness to talk about this kind of stuff isn't to encourage anything necessarily. Like I said, all yourself or someone like you. I just want people to find their tribe, so that hey, we're already doing this. Who can we, where are the others like us that we can associate with? But that's why I choose to come out and talk about this stuff. And your
Mhm.
parents probably ain't gonna talk to you about it, so you know, there are some of us out here that have lived through it. So that's
Yeah.
my truth.
Yeah, I hope to see dating in the future become better once women also kind of let go of the dating apps and allow men to romantically socialize themselves outside of the computer. And then also these dating apps become a lot more innovative and more intimate, because it's just not hitting the mark. It's definitely giving
Right.
Facebook, MySpace still. Like we need a more intimate level of dating and connecting, because it's just not working. And people will stall on cam, they'll stall on voice notes for as long as they can. So there got to be apps where it's like, no, this is mandatory. You got to get on the camera and you got to get on the thing or talk, one or the other.
You ever get someone who like doesn't understand something but just smiles because they feel like I just smile because I don't know, like it's kind of like that's what it is. Like the topics we talk about, like especially in the Hmong community, like with a lot of my peers, if poly is being talked about, like even speed dating and things like that, people just like, oh, like they'll just crack jokes, because it's better to laugh off about something I don't understand than to feel like I don't understand it, or it's better to laugh about something that I want to tap into but don't get chances to. So you kind of just laugh it off like, oh, like it's just funny. But I know there's a deeper mourning or wanting of like, you know I would like to participate in that, or I would like to know a little bit more about that, but they're not daring enough to even come out. Right. Like,
Mhm.
like a lot of Hmong girls, when the movie 50 Shades of Grey came out, like they all went to go see it, right? But once you talk about
Right.
BDSM, then they're like, oh no, we don't want them to do with BDSM. Why did you watch the movie? And actually liked it. So it's like there's something you're hiding, because it's like there's two different energies. It's like you obviously saw the movie, which is like in the BDSM world, to them that's like a kid movie, like to them, right? That's very like they don't understand what a dungeon really is.
Right.
But right, so it's like, yeah, y'all can act and laugh this stuff out and act like it's nothing to you, but it's like, come on, it shows, so yeah,
Yeah.
so behind
Yeah.
you.
And for Black women and Afro Latin women, I think that dating is like also changing for them, because men are also realizing that, you know, you can date women of whatever preference you have and whatever hierarchy thing that you think exists. But you're really, a lot of men are just, they're putting, they're, what they're really putting on the pedestal is social currency. They're putting on the pedestal, um, kind of like, what's it called? They're putting on this pedestal the imagery of, and the propaganda and the commercials of these people. They're putting these things on a pedestal. But when they get into these relationships with a lot of these women who have such a, um, they also have their own hierarchical undertones, right?
Mhm.
They're so out of touch and so not connected, and they lack a lot of empathy because they think, oh, well, I'm blonde. No, because my hair's straight. No, because I'm light skinned. And no, because I'm that. Like, a lot of these women are not that nice. And
Right.
Black women and Afro Latinas have had to really had to, they really have had to look at everybody and kind of babysit everybody's feelings.
And do you feel like they shoot other men down sometimes?
Black women
The type of woman you're talking about?
I feel like the non-Black women.
No, just in general, like those type of women. Like you were talking about the hierarchical type.
Do they shoot men down?
Yeah.
I feel like not only do they shoot men down, but I feel like these women lack a lot of empathy and understanding. So when these men get with them and they're like, oh, wait, these women they're really not as nice as we thought.
Mm-hmm.
Then they want to come around to the Black women. And it's like, don't take our sweet ride or die personality for weakness. And so we're going through this circle, but I think over time, the men that really do the work to understand Black women and what we've been through, and Afro Latinos and even Asians of color, all that stuff, when they really get it, they're gonna really tap in, like, into a world of not just understanding, but like a genuine family that genuinely fucks with you, like that will really hype you up.
Now, when you say hierarchical, do you just mean personality wise or also wealth wise?
Race,
Race, okay.
wealth, uh, social currency, what you see on TV, the imagery.
Because it's funny, but there's an opposite approach to that. Like on the hierarchical side, you do get these rich women that like don't, they live secret lives, right? Where they'll keep, I guess, guys below them around, you know, like pretty much as pets, right? To, you know, but they don't want to be seen in public with you, right? So they'll keep random dudes around and never talk about it, you know. Don't, it's, yeah, it's almost like it's
Like
almost like,
their dirty little secret.
yeah, like they want men as pets, you know what I mean, to like be around, but they don't want anything serious from it, and you know, to help them with tasks, and you know, I mean, like it's kind of like their little scapegoat, you know, and it's kind of like, you know, y'all are weird, like that's, you know, it's but yeah, you do that. You do have the woman who do that too. Like they make you like the closet boyfriend, you know what I'm saying? And they have you around all the time, but nobody
But
else.
you know, it's them, it's those guys that allow it, just
Yeah,
like
I
the
know.
women that allow it. Like, y'all are allowing this.
Right.
You just gotta know your
It's like,
worth.
why don't you just pay for a service then? Like it's fine, you know.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah. I think everybody's coming to a place where they're realizing being boy crazy and girl crazy isn't really that worth it.
right.
They're realizing that valuing your body and your dignity is absolutely on the top of the list, and that you only get one body. And if you think it may not happen to you, it can happen to you. You could be in very unsafe situations, put your body in very fragile, unsafe situations, and you could end up building a family with somebody that fucking hates you.
Right.
So, you know, it's just too much to risk.
Or it's
So,
nothing.
And it all starts with a, hey, how you doing? Through text. It all starts like that. I liked your pic. Oh, you like snowboarding? And then you guys go on a date, and before you know it, you could end up in a 5-year shit show with someone. I guess this is our show. We've been here for a while. We're gonna do a part 2
We need a name for the show.
someday.
We'll come up with a name.
Yeah, we'll come up with a name. All right, thanks for joining our show. We're gonna do a part 2 coming soon. Make sure to like,
Yes.
comment, subscribe, and we're out of here.
Once again,
Bye.
say your name.
What?
Say your name once again.
Emoeshawty. It's Emoeshawty. Hello.
Elvis Thao, and make sure you visit our pages once in a while. Afro-Asiatic dating and Latinas and Asian men.
All right.
All right, cool.
All right.